Well, Jack Beckman and Tony Pedregon. You heard Tony Pedregon a little bit earlier talking about safety with Mike Dunn. Well, Mike also caught up with Ron Capps, had the same conversation.
You know, I understand Tony. I mean, have an explosion like that. I mean, he's been through a lot. But I want him out here, and I don't want to see somebody have a knee-jerk reaction with NHRA and come out and just say, hey, let's just throw a smaller pump at it. And I'm not sure what the answer is. I really don't. In fact, I asked Ace this morning. I said, what would you do? If you're Graham Light and Dan Olson, what would you do? And he said, I wouldn't make that decision. I said, no, you got to give me an answer. I want an answer. And so he's going to think about it. He couldn't come up with one. So that tells you, if you went and asked Coyle, you went and asked Connie Coletta, you went and asked all these guys, I'm not sure they have the right answer. I'm not sure how comfortable I'm going to be or Tony's going to be when they come out and say, okay, we've got a 50 or 60 gallon fuel pump. Figure it out, guys. Now we're going to spin the blower more. They're going to have different size rod. They're going to play with compression. They're going to do things that they're just, it's going to be a big test mode, but it's going to be at a racetrack when you got to get the car in the show. Something's got to be done. I just don't know what.
Ron, you saw Jack Beckman, Mike, as we were listening to Ron Capps. Looked like he had a little problem getting it started.
Well, it did do the burnout, and everything looked pretty good. And I want to say, you know, Ron Capps, most of the crew chiefs agree with Ron Capps that we really don't need to change anything. But the issue does become the fact that when you ask all the crew chiefs, they all have different ideas on what it would take to do that. They can't come to agreement on it. And as a result, I think they want to say, let's just leave it alone and everything is fine.
Well, Jack Beckman has a win this year at Phoenix over John Force. They raced on Monday.
And earlier we talked about how Jack Beckman flew with the Thunderbirds. All United States Air Force pilots get nicknames. Well, the fans after race day this morning came up with a couple for Jack Beckman, who threw up twice on that ride. They offered up the two-bag Beckman, or the one that I like best so far. How about Yak Jack Beckman?
How about double yuck? Tony Pedregon, Jack Beckman. This is all Tony Pedregon. You see, Jack really had to fight it all the way. A 4:31, 289-mile-an-hour pass for Tony on a very hot day. Probably haven't mentioned that enough. It's getting hot out there. We're in the desert. It's dry. The sun is beating down on that track.
See, it was hot out there, Paul?
It's hot out there.
Yes, it is. That track is very tricky. Tony Pedregon, though, not a bad job there. It had cylinders out down track because they probably took a lot of horsepower out of it. As you take a look at Fast Jack, he was laid off the starting line, but that wasn't the big problem. Right here is where he lost the race, went into tire shake. Now, he caught it pretty quick, got to recover. The cylinders were out, but by then, Tony Pedregon was long gone.
And track temperature right now ties the highest temperature we've seen this year, 128 degrees.